Beloved, September is a month of harvest. It is the season where the unseen seeds of faith, spoken words, and quiet thoughts begin to bear fruit. Riches are not merely coins of silver and gold, nor are they found only in the clinking of money in the pocket. True riches begin first in the spirit, then in the mind, and finally they show themselves in the outer world as prosperity, opportunity, and abundance. To become rich in September, one must first claim richness with every word and every thought. For every word is a seed, and every thought is a blueprint. What you speak and what you imagine is what you call forth. The universe is a perfect mirror. If one walks about in fear of lack, declaring that nothing good ever comes, the universe must return the echo of those words. But if one awakens each morning and says, "All doors fly open for me this month, September is my month of supply," then the universe must obey. The world responds not to the cry of despair but to the vibration of faith. Riches come when one ceases to chase and begins to expect. The rich person is not the one who holds money tightly, but the one who knows that supply is endless. Consider the sun in the heavens. It rises without effort, and it shines without thought of running out. Prosperity is of the same law. The stream does not struggle to flow. The tree does not beg for fruit. In September, align yourself with this rhythm. Declare with boldness, "I live in a rich universe, and wealth seeks me as surely as the river runs to the sea." Such declarations break the spell of limitation and call forth opportunities that the reasoning mind cannot even imagine. To become rich, one must give up the idea of struggle. Struggle belongs to those who believe they must force their way through closed doors. But the rich soul knows that when one door shuts, another stands ready to swing wide. Trust opens that door. Fear closes it. Every time you release fear, you permit a new stream of good to flow toward you. This September, cast away the garment of doubt. Wear instead the robe of expectation. Riches come to those who are ready to receive them, who walk as if they already possess them, and who give thanks before the evidence arrives. Gratitude is the magnet of wealth. When you thank the universe for the smallest coin, you prepare yourself to handle the greatest treasure. When you bless every bill you pay, you transform it from loss into circulation. Money that goes out in joy must return multiplied. Do not say, "I cannot afford this." Say instead, "My supply is endless, and every good thing is mine by divine right." September will rush to prove you right, for the universe loves a bold declaration of truth. Riches begin first in the mind and words spoken. To understand this, one must first realize that every visible thing once existed in the invisible. The great buildings were once only a thought. The melody that moves the soul was once a whisper in the mind of the composer. The inventions that change the course of history are born first as ideas, faint sparks of imagination that someone dared to hold and believe in. The same law governs wealth. The money in the hand, the opportunities that open, the doors that swing wide, all these are only the fruit. The root lies in the unseen soil of thought and the spoken word. To become rich, one must begin not with effort but with consciousness. Words are more powerful than many dare to believe. Each word carries a vibration, and that vibration sets into motion a chain of events that must return to the speaker. When one constantly speaks of lack, of bills that cannot be paid, of doors that seem closed, one is planting weeds in the fertile ground of the subconscious. The soil does not question what seed is sown. It accepts, it nurtures, and it brings forth. If the seed is one of poverty, then poverty must sprout. If the seed is one of plenty, then plenty must bloom. Thus, the first act of riches is to guard the lips. Speak only of abundance, and abundance will answer. Thoughts are silent words, yet they are no less powerful. The inner dialogue, often unnoticed, builds the scaffolding of reality. To think continually of debt, of insufficiency, of misfortune, is to draft a plan for poverty. But to think of wealth, to imagine doors opening, to see oneself in possession of good, is to draw a blueprint for prosperity. Just as an architect designs a structure before a single brick is laid, so does the mind design the wealth that will appear. If the design is one of confidence, joy, and expectation, then the structure of prosperity is inevitable. Consider the child at play who imagines himself a king or queen. In their mind, they are already enthroned, already clothed in splendor. They walk with majesty, and in their game, they command wealth and power. That child is closer to truth than the adult who drags their feet in despair. For the child understands, without knowing, that imagination is the doorway through which reality steps. To become rich, one must dare to imagine wealth, not as a far-off dream, but as a present reality, felt and believed in this very moment. There are those who say, "I will believe in riches when I see them." But such a one waits forever, for the law does not work backward. Seeing comes after believing, never before. One who believes without seeing is planting the seed. In time, the seed must sprout, though the manner of its growth remains unseen. The farmer does not dig daily into the soil to demand proof that the seed is alive. He trusts the law, and in due season, the harvest comes. So too with wealth, the spoken word, and the steady thought are seeds, and trust in their power is the soil in which they grow. If one desires wealth in September, let each day begin with words of abundance. Say aloud, even before leaving the bed, "I am rich in all ways. Riches flow to me freely and endlessly. Every door opens in my favor." These words, repeated with faith, are not mere sounds. They are commands to the universe, declarations that call forth unseen forces to arrange opportunities, connections, and ideas that lead to wealth. To speak such words is to tune the mind to the vibration of abundance, and once tuned, one cannot help but draw on experiences that match. Silence, too, has its place, for the mind must be quiet enough to receive the impressions of wealth. When worry fills the mind with noise, there is no room for inspiration. But when one grows still, when one releases fear and listens inwardly, ideas come like gentle whispers. These ideas, acted upon, are often the very bridges that lead to prosperity. Thus, riches are not only a product of outer action, but of inner stillness and openness. There is a story of a man who declared daily, "I am surrounded by supply." Though he had little in his possession, he held to his words. Others laughed, saying he was deceiving himself. But in time, opportunities began to appear. A friend offered him work. A new business venture presented itself, and unexpected money came through the mail. Within a short span, his outer life matched the words he had faithfully spoken. He did not deceive himself. He aligned himself with truth. The truth is that the universe is abundant, and when one speaks in harmony with that truth, abundance must reveal itself. Doubt is the thief of riches. When one says, "I am rich," but secretly thinks, "It is not true," the words are cancelled by the hidden thought. The law cannot be fooled. Only when word and thought are in harmony does the power flow freely. This is why persistence is necessary. A thought may feel untrue at first, just as a seed seems dead when placed in the ground. But with repetition, with care, with unwavering belief, the thought grows strong. And at last the feeling of truth settles in the heart. Then the words spoken are charged with conviction, and conviction is the force that moves mountains. To master wealth, one must therefore master speech and thought. Guard the lips from speaking of lack. Guard the mind from dwelling on limitation. Replace each word of despair with a word of hope. Replace each thought of failure with a vision of success. Soon the inner world becomes so filled with images of abundance that the outer world must conform. For the outer is only a shadow, and the shadow must follow the shape of the substance. The substance is the consciousness of riches, built word by word, thought by thought, until it stands unshakable. The universe mirrors faith, not fear. This law operates with precision, as exact as the reflection of a face in a still pool of water. Whatever image is held in the depths of the heart is what the universe must echo back in experience. Faith is a magnet that draws opportunities, open doors, and abundance. Fear is also a magnet, but it pulls to itself obstacles, delays, and lack. One cannot hold fear in the heart and expect to receive the fruits of faith. The two cannot occupy the same space. Therefore, if one desires to see riches, health, and success, one must cultivate faith as the dominant vibration, for the mirror can only reflect what is presented before it. Faith is not a vague hope, nor is it a wish that trembles in uncertainty. Faith is the confident knowing that unseen forces are arranging every detail in perfect order. It is the substance beneath all things visible, the assurance that what is claimed in spirit must appear in matter. Fear, on the other hand, is the belief in the opposite. Fear insists that supply will run dry, that failure is inevitable, that doors will remain closed. When the mind entertains fear, it is as though it hands the universe a blueprint of defeat. The universe, impartial and obedient, brings forth exactly what has been impressed upon it. Consider a gardener who plants seeds. If he plants wheat, he cannot expect to harvest roses. The soil will yield only what is given. So too with thought and feeling. Faith sows seeds of prosperity, fear sows seeds of lack. The soil of the universe is neutral. It asks no questions. It does not alter wheat into roses, nor does it alter fear into blessing. It only produces after its kind. Therefore, the wise soul takes care not to plant fear through constant worry, complaints, and doubts, for these will surely bear their fruit in time. Faith speaks with certainty. It says, "My good is at hand. All that I need flows to me now." The supply of the universe is endless and cannot fail. Faith does not wait for visible evidence before making its declaration. It knows that the declaration itself is the evidence. Just as the sunrise is certain long before the first light touches the horizon, so is the manifestation certain when faith has spoken. Fear, however, whispers the opposite. It says, "Perhaps it will not come. Perhaps I will fail. Perhaps I will lose what I have." These whispers are also creative, for the universe listens to them and begins to arrange circumstances in agreement with the fearful word. One cannot serve both faith and fear. The mirror will not show two reflections at once. It will either reflect the shining image of trust or the shadow of doubt. If one continually rehearses fears in the mind, replaying scenes of loss and disappointment, then life will dutifully provide them again. But if one holds firmly to images of victory, success, and plenty, then life will provide scenes to match those visions. The universe is like a great stage manager, arranging props and players according to the script handed to it. The script is written in thought and sealed with emotion. Faith writes a script of triumph, fear writes one of defeat. When faith is active, it produces calmness. The one who truly believes in abundance does not rush anxiously, does not scramble in desperation. There is a poise, a quiet certainty, like the calm of a captain steering a ship with steady hand, knowing the destination is sure. Fear, in contrast, produces restlessness. It pushes one to grasp at every passing opportunity, to chase wealth as though it were running away, to panic when delays arise. But chasing does not create riches, it only drives them further. Wealth comes by magnetic attraction, and the magnet is faith. Examples are found in every walk of life. The person who walks into a room confident in their worth draws others to them. The one who enters with fear of rejection often finds rejection waiting. The investor who believes in success with calm confidence attracts opportunities that confirm his faith. The one who invests trembling with fear often loses, not because the market is unkind, but because fear guided every step. Life reflects inner conviction as faithfully as the mirror reflects the face. Faith is not passive dreaming. It is active alignment with abundance. It expresses itself in words spoken with assurance, in actions taken without hesitation, in attitudes that remain steady despite appearances. Fear weakens every effort. Even when action is taken, if fear is the silent partner, the outcome is poisoned. The faithful action, even if small, is charged with unseen power and multiplies into great success. The fearful action, even if large, carries within it the seed of failure. Thus, the inner state always outweighs the outer motion. When difficulties appear, faith holds fast. It says, "This is only appearance, the truth is greater. Supply is here though I cannot yet see it. The way is open, though the path is not visible." Fear collapses under difficulty. It says, "This proves my worst thoughts. There is no hope, nothing works for me, I am defeated." The universe, impartial as ever, takes these declarations and fulfills them. Faith declares victory and is granted victory. Fear declares defeat and is granted defeat. The mirror does not judge which face it reflects, it simply reflects. Faith transforms the very atmosphere around a person. It radiates a power that others feel, often without knowing why. Doors open more easily, people offer help. Opportunities seem to appear at just the right time. Fear also radiates, but it closes doors. Others sense the heaviness of doubt, the shrinking vibration of worry, and unconsciously turn away. Faith makes one magnetic, fear makes one repellent. Faith builds bridges, fear builds walls. It is possible to move from fear to faith, for fear is only misplaced belief. It is faith in the wrong outcome. To shift, one must train the mind, replacing fearful words with words of confidence, replacing pictures of failure with pictures of success. Each time fear arises, it must be met with an affirmation of faith. I refuse this vision. I accept only the truth of abundance. I choose to see wealth, health, and open doors. With persistence, the habit of fear weakens, and the habit of faith grows strong. Faith, once established, becomes a shield. It guards against every suggestion of lack and every appearance of loss. It does not deny that challenges exist, but it denies that they have power to defeat. Fear grants power to the challenge, faith strips it away. In this way, the universe mirrors back either triumph or trouble, according to which power the individual has chosen to believe in. Supply is endless and flows without struggle. This truth is as ancient as the rising of the sun and as constant as the flowing of a river. The universe was not designed in limitation, nor was humanity placed in a barren world. Look to nature, and you will see this law written everywhere. The trees do not ration their leaves, they produce them in abundance. The ocean does not measure its waves, it sends them endlessly to the shore. The stars do not conserve their light, they shine without ceasing across the heavens. Everywhere the message is clear, there is no end to supply. Only the belief in limitation creates lack. When one believes that resources are scarce, the mind begins to shrink, and life mirrors this shrinking. A person who thinks supply is limited grasps tightly, hoards, and fears loss. This very fear becomes the cause of the lack they dread. But the one who knows that supply is infinite lives with open hands, gives freely, trusts completely. Such a person becomes a channel through which the current of abundance flows. And because the current is endless, their life becomes a constant stream of provision. The law of supply is not one of struggle. The bird does not toil in fear over where the next worm will come from. It sings in the morning and receives its food. The flower does not wrestle with anxiety about whether the sun will rise tomorrow. It opens its petals in faith, and the light appears. Humanity alone has imagined a world of struggle, believing that supply must be fought for, competed over, and seized. Yet this belief is only a shadow cast by fear, not the reality of truth. In truth, supply flows as naturally as breath, and the more one trusts in this flow, the more easily it comes. Consider the river. It does not force its way with resistance, yet it carves valleys, nourishes fields, and sustains life wherever it passes. Its secret lies in its nature. It moves in harmony with its source. The same is true of supply. When a person aligns with the endless source, they too become as the river, unstoppable, refreshing, and abundant. Struggle begins only when one resists, when one doubts the flow, when one blocks it with thoughts of fear and words of lack. Remove the block, and the current resumes, bringing with it all that is needed. Many believe that their good is dependent on the actions of others, on markets, on circumstances, or on luck. But supply does not come from these outer channels. They are only instruments, not the source itself. The source is infinite, unseen, and unfailing. To mistake the channel for the source is to invite fear, for channels can open and close. But to trust the source is to stand unshaken, for it is eternal. When one knows this truth, there is no need for struggle. Opportunities may change form, but supply remains constant, finding new ways to reach the one who believes. A person may lose a job, yet another door opens. A business may close, yet a new venture arises. A field may dry, yet another harvest springs up elsewhere. The essence of supply cannot be destroyed, it only transforms and flows in different streams. To cling to one channel in fear is to block the greater river. To release and trust is to allow the river to carve new paths of abundance. Giving is one of the surest ways to prove the endlessness of supply. The one who hoards out of fear of lack finds that even what they hold slips away. But the one who gives, confident in the inexhaustible source, finds that more always comes to replace it. Just as the ocean cannot be emptied by drawing water from it, so the source of supply cannot be diminished by giving. Each act of generosity declares, "I trust the flow, I am not afraid of lack," and the universe echoes back with multiplied return. Children show this law with simple clarity. They do not sit in fear wondering if there will be food tomorrow. They live in the moment, trusting the provision of life. Their faith creates joy, and joy itself is magnetic to supply. Adults burdened with fear lose this simple trust, and in doing so, they often block the very flow they long for. To become as a child again, trusting the endlessness of life's provision, is to rediscover the ease with which supply comes. There is a rhythm to supply, a divine order that governs its flow. Just as the tide rises and falls, just as the seasons turn, supply moves in cycles. In one moment, it comes as money, in another as opportunity, in another as favor from unexpected places. To struggle against these rhythms is to waste energy. To trust and move in harmony with them is to live in peace. The wise soul watches with calm assurance, knowing that every eddy is followed by a flow, every winter by a spring, every seeming loss by a greater gain. When one declares, "My supply is endless," the words set in motion unseen forces. Circumstances begin to shift, people are moved into place, opportunities appear. These words are not idle, they are commands. When spoken with conviction, they align the speaker with the reality of infinite provision. The mind expands, expectation rises, and the universe mirrors back abundance to match. Conversely, when one says, "There is never enough," the universe must echo the words, and lack appears to confirm the belief. Thus, supply is not created by struggle but by consciousness. The struggle many experience comes from the belief in separation, from thinking that one is cut off from the source. This belief is an illusion. Just as no wave is separate from the ocean, no individual is separate from supply. The wave may rise and fall, but it never loses connection with the sea. Likewise, one may experience changes in fortune, but the link to supply remains unbroken. To remember this truth is to release struggle. To forget it is to live in fear. The ease with which supply flows can be seen when one acts in alignment with their true purpose. Work done with joy, creativity, and faith becomes magnetic, drawing reward without the weight of struggle. Work done in fear, resentment, or desperation becomes heavy, yielding little despite great effort. The difference lies not in the task itself, but in the consciousness behind it. Consciousness of endless supply transforms labor into joy and brings forth reward with ease. To live in awareness of infinite supply is to carry a certain peace. It is to look at circumstances that seem barren and still declare, "The river is flowing, even if I cannot yet see it." It is to release anxiety when a channel closes, trusting that another will open. It is to give freely, speak boldly, and walk with assurance, knowing that the source cannot run dry. The one who understands this truth ceases to wrestle and begins to rest, and in that rest, supply comes more abundantly than ever. Expectation opens doors, doubt closes them. The universe responds to the inner posture of the heart more than to the outward effort of the hands. A person who expects good meets good at every turn, for their expectation is a magnet drawing it near. Another who doubts, though surrounded by opportunities, finds doors shut, for doubt has already decreed that no path shall open. Expectation is the key that unlocks unseen gates, while doubt is the lock that bolts them tight. To expect is not merely to hope. It is to stand in certainty, knowing that good is on the way, though no sign yet appears. The farmer who plants seed does not dig in the soil each morning to see if sprouts have broken ground. He expects them to rise, and his expectation gives him peace. In the same way, when one expects abundance, opportunity, and success, there is no restless striving. There is a calm assurance that what is claimed in faith will arrive. The soil of life has already received the seed, and the harvest is guaranteed. Doubt, on the other hand, acts as a thief in the night. It steals the energy of faith, drains the vitality of action, and poisons every effort with hesitation. When one doubts, even the boldest opportunities are met with fear. Doors that stand open appear to be walls. Invitations to advance are mistaken for threats. Doubt clouds the vision, so that even when supply is near, it goes unseen. Expectation sharpens the eye, so that the smallest opening is recognized as the beginning of a great pathway. The power of expectation is not bound to chance but to law. Life mirrors belief. The one who rises in the morning and declares, "Today is filled with favor, doors open before me, and opportunities are abundant," sets in motion currents that arrange circumstances to match. Conversations lead to connections. Small actions lead to great results, and what seemed impossible suddenly unfolds with ease. The one who rises murmuring, "Nothing ever works for me. Nothing changes, doors remain closed," has also spoken into law, and life arranges itself accordingly. The day unfolds with obstacles. Opportunities slip away, and closed doors appear at every turn. The universe does not choose which to grant, it simply reflects what has been expected. Expectation prepares the heart to receive. Without it, even blessings are missed. Imagine a traveler who expects a letter of welcome upon arriving in a new city. He watches for it, and when the letter is placed in his hand, he recognizes it at once. Another traveler filled with doubt says, "I will never be welcomed here." When the same letter is offered, he hesitates, mistrusts it, perhaps refuses to open it. The gift is wasted, not because it was withheld, but because expectation was absent. In this way, expectation opens the hand to grasp what is given, while doubt lets it slip away. When one truly expects, there is no sense of delay. There may be waiting, but waiting is filled with calm anticipation rather than anxious fear. Expectation transforms time into preparation, while doubt turns time into torment. The expectant soul uses the in between moments to prepare, to strengthen, to make ready for the arrival of good. The doubtful soul wastes the same moments in worry, weakening themselves, and becoming unready when opportunity knocks. Expectation is visible in the very way a person carries themselves. There is a lightness, a confidence, a readiness. They walk into a room expecting favor, and favor comes. They speak expecting to be heard, and they are heard. They act expecting success, and success follows. Doubt also reveals itself in the hesitant step, the uncertain tone, the shrinking posture. Such signals silently declare to the world, "Do not give me your best, I am not ready." The world obliges withholding its treasures, not out of cruelty, but because doubt has already closed the door. Children often embody pure expectation. A child who asks for a gift does not wonder if it will come. They begin to rejoice as though it were already theirs. They make room for it, plan for it, speak of it. Their expectation is so strong that the parents, moved by the certainty, often fulfill it. Adults lose this simple trust, replacing it with suspicion and fear. Yet to become rich in opportunity and experience, one must return to this childlike state, expecting without wavering, rejoicing before the evidence, preparing for the gift even before it arrives. Every great achievement begins with expectation. The inventor who expects to discover presses on through failure until success is revealed. The artist who expects inspiration receives it. The merchant who expects profit finds ways to create it. Those who doubt never reach the threshold, for their doubt persuades them to stop short. They close the door with their own hand and then wonder why nothing enters. Expectation keeps the door open, even when the hallway beyond seems dark, trusting that light will appear as the next step is taken. Expectation is the voice that calls to unseen supply. It says, "I know you are on your way, I prepare for you, I rejoice in you." Supply, hearing its name spoken, hastens forward. Doubt says, "You will not come, you are not real, you will disappoint me." Supply, unrecognized, passes by in silence. The law is impartial, and each receives according to their inner word. To expect is to invite, to doubt is to dismiss. Life offers countless examples of expectation shaping experience. A person who expects rejection often walks into relationships with guardedness, and rejection follows. Another who expects warmth opens their heart freely, and warmth is returned. A worker who expects promotion carries themselves with readiness, and opportunity appears. Another who doubts their worth hides their ability, and advancement passes them by. The difference is not in the external world, but in the inner decree of expectation or doubt. When one trains themselves to expect, every detail of life begins to shift. Words grow bolder, actions more decisive, vision clearer. Even in setbacks, expectation whispers, "This is only a turn in the road, my good is still ahead." Doubt in the same circumstance whispers, "This proves my fear. Nothing better is coming." The outer event may be the same, but the inner posture determines the outcome. Expectation keeps walking until the new door appears. Doubt sits down in defeat and misses the very gate it longed for. The secret lies in choosing expectation daily, in the face of appearances. When the sky is clouded, expectation says, "The sun is still shining behind the veil." When money seems scarce, expectation says, "Supply is endless, and I am part of its flow." When opportunities appear absent, expectation says, "The doors are opening, though I cannot yet see them." Each declaration becomes a seed planted, and each seed must grow. Doubt uproots the seed before it can sprout, but expectation waters it until the harvest comes. Gratitude multiplies wealth. When one gives thanks for what is already in hand, no matter how small, they place themselves in alignment with the law of increase. The universe responds to recognition, to appreciation, to the vibration of joy over what has been received. A person who blesses even the smallest coin calls forth the great treasure. One who complains over the smallness of their portion closes the door on increase, for they have failed to recognize that every harvest begins with a single seed. Gratitude is the water that causes that seed to sprout, to grow, and to multiply until it becomes a field of plenty. Consider the one who receives a little and grumbles, saying, "This is not enough. This cannot help me." Their words act as poison to the gift, cutting off the flow that was meant to follow. But the one who receives the same amount and says, "I thank you, I bless this, I rejoice in this," has spoken words of multiplication. What they have blessed begins to expand. Opportunities arrive, supply increases, favor multiplies, and what was once small becomes more than sufficient. The act of gratitude has turned little into much. Gratitude changes the atmosphere of the heart. A thankful person radiates light, joy, and openness. This radiance draws others, attracts opportunities, and opens doors that remain shut to those who complain. Gratitude says, "I recognize the good in this moment," and life responds by showing more good. Complaint says, "Nothing is ever enough," and life mirrors back lack. The universe reflects the inner tone. Gratitude sets the tone of plenty. Complaint sets the tone of scarcity. Gratitude must not be reserved for great blessings alone. It must be practiced in the small, in the unnoticed, in the ordinary. The breath in the lungs, the warmth of the sun, the food on the table, the kindness of a smile. All these are treasures when seen with eyes of thankfulness. To bless them is to multiply them. To ignore them is to keep the door to abundance half closed. The one who thanks for little is entrusted with much. The one who disregards little is left barren, even when surrounded by opportunities. Gratitude is not mere politeness, it is a spiritual force. It transforms the mind from focusing on lack to focusing on abundance. What the mind focuses upon expands. If one continually thinks on what is missing, lack grows larger in perception until it seems overwhelming. If one continually gives thanks for what is present, abundance grows larger until it fills the vision and crowds out every thought of insufficiency. Gratitude is the turning of the gaze toward plenty, and where the gaze rests, life magnifies. When money leaves the hand, gratitude can turn it into a seed rather than a loss. To pay a bill with resentment is to say, "This depletes me." To pay with gratitude is to say, "This circulates back to me multiplied." Money is not lost when it is spent in gratitude. It is set in motion, like a seed planted in the soil. The soil gives back more than was sown. The grateful payer receives return. The resentful pair receives only emptiness, for they have cursed the seed and demanded that it not grow. Gratitude is the secret that makes circulation become multiplication. Gratitude also transforms relationships. The person who is thanked for their kindness is moved to show greater kindness still. The one whose efforts go unnoticed soon grows wary and withholds their gift. Life itself behaves in the same way. It responds with generosity where it is welcomed with thanks. It withdraws where it is met with complaint. Thus, gratitude not only multiplies wealth but multiplies joy, favor, and love. It creates a cycle where good increases because it has been honored. Gratitude is a magnet to the unseen. It calls forth blessings that are still hidden, bringing them into visibility. To give thanks for what has not yet arrived is to declare faith in its certainty. Gratitude spoken in advance pulls the blessing into the present. One who says, "I thank you for the wealth that is flowing. I rejoice in the opportunities already prepared for me," speaks as though the gift is already in hand. Life, hearing such words of faith, hastens to fulfill them. Doubt delays the blessing, but gratitude draws it swiftly. The power of gratitude is evident in those who have risen from little to great wealth. Many stories tell of people who began with almost nothing, yet they blessed what they had, worked with it joyfully, and expected it to grow. Their thankfulness created a vibration that attracted opportunity after opportunity, until they stood in abundance. Others, who began with much but never gave thanks, found their fortunes slipping away. Gratitude is the safeguard of riches. Without it, wealth becomes like sand slipping through fingers. With it, wealth becomes a river that never runs dry. Gratitude is also a healer. A thankful heart cannot dwell long in bitterness or despair. By focusing on what is good, even in the midst of challenge, gratitude shifts the vibration of the soul. This shift invites new strength, new hope, new possibilities. The one who remains grateful in difficulty draws the way of escape more quickly than the one who sinks into complaint. For complaint binds the soul to the problem, while gratitude lifts it toward the solution. Every day provides countless moments to practice gratitude. Each breath, each sunrise, each step, each kindness received is an opportunity to give thanks. The more often thanks is given, the more natural it becomes, until gratitude flows as easily as breath. At this point, wealth in every form multiplies effortlessly, for the thankful heart has become a constant magnet for good. Gratitude is not a single act but a state of being, a way of living that continually affirms, "I am surrounded by blessing, and I rejoice in it."